Hey guys, what is up? Hope you're having a fantastic day so far, and Snow Day and Why So Blue just finished airing, so like I've been doing, I thought I would give my thoughts on each of the episodes, so just keep in mind if you haven't seen them yet, I'm going to be spoiling stuff, but with that, let's get into it. So I think people are going to like Snow Day and Why So Blue a lot more than the previous two episodes that aired last week. I think they dealt more with more character development this time around, so I think people are going to like them more. And these were two really solid episodes. So first up we have Snow Day, and I'm probably going to butcher this name, but I believe it's pronounced Etienne. I believe it's French. I'm not saying with a French accent, but I think that's how it's pronounced. And Maya, and they are the ones who boarded volleyball. And this was a really solid episode. Essentially what this is Steven having to adult, and the Gems not understanding that Steven has grown, matured, not the same person he was during the events of Steven Universe, the original series. So there's things like no more cheeseburger backpack, he doesn't use that anymore. There's kind of the parallel from the opening when all the Gems put their hand on Steven's head, and in the opening he was always happy about it, and then here he's very grumpy about it. There's Pupcopter, he's not eating Together breakfast anymore because he says Pupcopter's for kids. There's too much sugar in Together breakfast, so there's kind of like all these callbacks to the original series that Steven just doesn't do anymore, and it's kind of sad watching from, a viewer's perspective, because we grew up just, watching Steven grow up, much like the Gems, and see him grow and develop, and now not that he's not happy, but he doesn't have that same, I guess, child-like aspect of him. He's still, fun and likes to goof off and mess around, but he definitely doesn't have that kind of, young child-like disposition anymore. And also something that I think I caught really quick is when Steven is pulling back up to his house in the car. I thought I heard a part of Being Human, which is the end song that plays at the end of Steven Universe Future. I'd have to go back and check, but I thought I heard a little bit of it playing. There's also a little new piece of information here. Steven is vegetarian. He's been vegetarian for a month, which is cool for me because I'm vegetarian, so it's oh cool, Steven's vegetarian. So it's just a little cool thing that, I was found surprising, but also it's just hey, I'm a vegetarian too, so I just like that little drop of information there. Now, in this episode, the biggest thing is Steven Tag, and we saw Steven Tag, we saw them playing it, very early on in Season 1, and it was with Garnet, Amethyst, and Steven, and Pearl refused to play Steven Tag. She thought it was very childish, but, as we find out in the end of the episode, the Gems missed him, and there was, some time where Steven, between the end of Steven Universe and now Steven Universe Future, he was busy helping with getting all of Homeworld and Gem Society back in order, so they didn't see him as much, but this leads to Pearl shapeshifting. she never, Steven Universe and Steven Universe Future are two different series, so, in all of Steven Universe, she never shapeshifted, and this is the first time that she has ever shapeshifted in the entire Steven Universe franchise, to play Steven Tag, which was really fun. That was, big enough as it is, but then we find out that there's the fusions of all the Gems, so you have the Sugilite Steven, the Sardonyx Steven, the Opal Steven, and they all have the Super Smash Bros kind of challenger approaching kind of intro, which I thought was really cool. There was some really good animation with Steven on his shield when he was sledding through the snow, and then just the fusions as well. We then see Alexandrite Steven, and then we also see Steven using his floating powers and seeing how well he's mastered those, which we've seen a lot in terms of the movie and with the fight against Jasper. Steven's a lot better at using his powers. I think this is really the first instance where we've seen him use his floating powers in this circumstance where he's trying to jump from platform to platform kind of a thing. With the Jasper fight, I think we saw him float down, kind of float in the sky, but that was about the extent of it. But again, just it's nice to see Steven getting much better with his powers. And if seeing all of the gems, Garnet, Pearl, Amethyst, and all the fusions wasn't enough, we also see a Ruby and Sapphire Steven, and Sapphire actually is the one that tags Steven at the end to win the game for all the crystal gems, which of course, because Sapphire has future vision, so of course she would win. But we see that Steven can shapeshift and hold his form better reverting back to his, the classic Steven as it's called in this episode, and he's kind of upset by it because the gems look at him as that same kid and not the person that he is now, or as, who he's grown into and stuff. And obviously the gems didn't have any ill intention of it or anything, but they missed out kind of on a part of his life, so it's hard for them to understand. But I mean, there's no hard feelings between them, and they changed it to like an older Steven tag, so Garnet shapeshifts into how Steven looks now, and they play tag that way, and it was really great. And we see them after this snow day happens, which made them have to cancel Gems, the little homeschool. As they're pulling away to go teach their classes, you can hear the little melody that was played at the end of Gemcation from Steven Universe. So maybe this is going to kind of like be the new theme for the Crystal Gems, just when they have like an episode or a moment of them coming to an understanding or them developing as a group. But overall, I really like Snow Day. I think there were some really great callbacks in here, some good comedy. We had Pearl shapeshift. We got to see all of like the Steven fusions of the different gems. Plus, we also just got some nice development with Steven, Garnet, Amethyst, and Pearl. So overall, really solid episode. Next up, we have Why So Blue, and I'm going to have to go back and see who bordered this, but I believe it's Amish, Warren, and Joe. Joe being Joe Johnston. I didn't catch Warren's last name, but Amish has boarded a couple episodes at this point on Steven Universe Future. And this episode is a Lapis episode. Now, considering from like Reunion and Change Your Mind and the movie, Lapis didn't show up that much. He had like a couple moments, but that was it. So I was super happy that we were getting a Lapis episode. But it starts off with Steven and Lapis going to other planets to recruit gems that may still be there to go to Little Homeschool if they want. And we see that Lapis is kind of like her usual self. She's like very sarcastic with her jokes and stuff. How Steven meets one of the creatures on this planet and befriends it, and Lapis makes like a comment like, oh, it took you 5 seconds to make a friend, you're getting rusty. So we very much see that Lapis is still like her usual sarcastic self. But we also get confirmation that Lapis did terraform. We heard that in the song What's the Use of Feeling Blue, which is kind of ironic now looking at this episode called Why So Blue that we get that confirmation. We knew that Lapis is terraformed from that song, but this is the first time that our Lapis has ever confirmed that when talking to Steven or just talking to someone in the show. But she destroyed planets, and so now it's kind of this other side of Lapis where she's seen the beauty in planets and Earth and organic life, and now she doesn't want to destroy planets. She sees Earth for what it is. She likes how she's able to express herself more on Earth in the lifestyle that she's living now. And then we meet, I'm just going to call them the edgy Lapises. I don't know. I mean, I know our Lapis can be kind of edgy, but I'm just going to call them the edgy Lapises because otherwise it's going to get confusing. But the edgy Lapises, they have a gem on their stomach, and then the other one has one on the left shoulder. And they have no intention of going to Little Homeschool at all because they like doing what they do. They like terraforming, they like destroying planets. So early on it's set up that they respect strength, and this comes back later at the end of the episode. So when Steven fails at trying to convince them to go to Little Homeworld, Lapis is like, okay, we're gonna have to do this kind of my way, kind of have to use some force kind of a thing. And Steven's like, no, we can do this, we can talk this out. And there's even a little joke here like, no, they're not nice like me, and there's this pause with Steven just being like, because I mean, Lapis, nice may not be the first word that comes to mind when thinking about Lapis, but it's funny that she has this perception about herself that she is nice, and compared to what we've seen about the Lapises here, yeah, she's pretty nice, I guess, compared to other Lapises out there. And there's even like another joke that Lapis throws in there, how like they can throw in a little bit of torture. So again, just kind of like reaffirming Lapis's kind of her comedic material of being this like sarcastic with a little bit of dark humor in there. And of course they try teaching these edgy Lapises about Earth and organic life, and they kind of misinterpret it, and they take it as how to improve upon their terraforming to destroy planets. So this isn't working, obviously, so they eventually get to the point of song. So Lapis gets a new song here, which is like crazy because it took forever for her to get one song in the original series of Steven Universe Future, and so now we already have another one. And even Rainbow Quartz, one episode back from a very special episode, Rainbow Quartz got a song, so now we have another song. So I mean, if we're going to be getting a steady flow of songs like we did in Steven Universe, I mean, I'm all for it, especially if it's Lapis. But I enjoyed this song a lot. Very different from That Distant Shore, but you do still get kind of like callbacks to like the mirror and the malachite vision about those being a prison, and how Lapis now understands the beauty of Earth and organic life and how it presents a better lifestyle. And there's also just some really nice lighting and shading in this song, in this animated sequence for this song. So I really enjoyed it a lot. I'm going to have to go back and listen to it to kind of do more of a lyrical breakdown. But overall, I did enjoy the song a lot. And even though Lapis had this awesome song, of course the edgy Lapises laugh at her and call her weak and dull and all this stuff. And we see Lapis goes back to those old tendencies of force, of what she's intended to do, to destroy things, which I do like seeing. I mean, it's kind of like this, it's a bittersweet kind of a thing, because I like that characters fall back. They're just not constantly progressing, because I think if you just have a character that's constantly progressing and just, solving all their problems like it's nothing, I don't think it's as satisfying to watch. So there's that part of me that kind of likes seeing it, but at the same time it's really hard, because that Lapis is able to do better and has been doing better, so to see her fall back is like a bittersweet thing. I like it from like a viewer standpoint. I'm like, oh, this is really good writing. But then there's just the part of it where like looking at Lapis as like a character and like empathizing with her and just being like, oh man, like I wish you would get better and you didn't feel the need to revert back to this behavior. And at first Lapis is actually getting her butt kicked. It's kind of like whatever she throws at them, they're able to adapt to it and fight back harder. And it looks like Lapis is going to lose at one point until she finally just snaps. And like there's like an Avatar The Last Airbender reference where like she takes all of the water and it's like a giant Lapis and she's in the middle. And she's actually about to finish these edgy Lapises off. And they look terrified and scared, and Steven doesn't even say anything. He just looks at Lapis, and when she looks back, she kind of just sees the disappointment in his face, and then she eventually gains her composure back, lets them go, and then says, you can come to Little Homeschool, we're not destroying anything anymore. Like very matter of fact about it. Not trying to persuade or anything, just very matter of fact, which is kind of what they probably should have done in the first place, since Lapis is a Lapis and probably knows how to deal with them better than Steven does, but just says, we're not terraforming anymore, we're not destroying planets, you can come to Little Homeschool if you like. And it comes back to the strength thing. The edgy Lapises, they respect Lapis now because they saw how strong and powerful she is. And I think Lapis has a really good moment here where she says it wasn't strength, but it was a weakness to revert back to those old ways, which I liked a lot. And even after Lapis and Steven leave, she's still upset about it. She's still disappointed in herself. And Steven isn't even that hard on her. He understands and acknowledges how far she's come. And at the end of the episode, we see one of the Lapises actually follows them back to go to Little Homeschool. So we might not see the other Lapis. She might come back as a villain, maybe with Aquamarine and Ruby possibly. Or maybe she'll come to Little Homeschool a bit later. But I think this is good for Lapis because now she'll have someone that maybe she can mentor, which I think would be really good for Lapis. Similar to Amethyst. I think Amethyst is a great example of how being a mentor to others develops character, and I think that would be really great for Lapis. But overall, I really enjoyed Why So Blue, and I really enjoyed Snow Day. Just two really solid episodes. With the holidays coming, these kind of feel like very good, just like like the warm and fuzzy kind of episodes that you kind of want to feel around the holidays. But yeah, so overall, I really enjoyed them. Let me know what you guys thought of these episodes, because I would love to hear it. But thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a fantastic day. And until next time, guys, take care.